Yep. And we are back again. Second panel of the day, Resident Evil 6 panel. We're joined by the amazing Sara Fletcher and the always awesome Christopher Emerson.
No!
And as well as the team is still back. Beggy Beg, Tony, JJ. Corey is somewhere out there in chat land. He'll show up on the camera
he may
eventually.
show up soon.
Better show up.
Yep, fired.
And my buddy Sev stepped away for a minute. He's taking care of something. But let's go ahead and start off by Sara. Can you introduce yourself, some of your background? You played Sherry in RE6, which you told us earlier. And I was looking at the picture. I was like, man, Sherry really looks a lot like Sara. I wonder if they used her as a face model. And sure enough, you were scanned. You did your acting, and you also did the performance capture. So you were like a triple threat on that game.
It's really crazy. I actually did the face scan first. That's how I first got cast, just to be the face, which is a really crazy experience and amazing, because like you have to like turn your eyelids inside out and like your lips inside out when they scan you.
Yeah.
And you can't move. You're not allowed to move at all. And they say like a camera goes around, and then they're like, okay, turn your lips inside out, and now we're gonna scan the interior of your mouth, and you're like,
So
do you really need the interior of my mouth, or can you just use like a made up? And then I got to also do all the motion capture for it as well. So I worked on the project, I think, for almost 2 years, maybe.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so you got to work with Ruben, you got to work with Jason Font, and the awesome cast they had for that. Not only just for the voice actors, but the the stunt work that goes into it, from the performers and the motion capture. It was
awesome. Yeah, the crew we had was fantastic, and our stunt guy Anthony was phenomenal. And then Troy was my counterpart.
Yeah.
Troy Baker was
He was
Jake, obviously.
Yeah, he's Jake, another awesome actor that always delivers. He's phenomenal. He's one of my favorite voice actors out there working, and there's a lot that I like. So, what were you doing before you got the part for RE6?
You know what? That was the first video game that I had ever done. But I work as an actor and a host, and I saw a posting on Breakdowns, and I was like, this looks cool. I seem like I fit this description, but obviously I didn't know what it was for. Even when we did the face scan, they were like, we can't tell you anything. It wasn't until they brought me back for mocap, and then I auditioned, and then I got it. And then when I showed up in the room for the table read, they were like, oh, by the way, you're Sherry Birkin and you're part of Resident Evil 6. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, okay, cool.
Kind of an important role.
Dang, all right. So,
wait, so you answered a magazine ad that said that we want to scan the inside of your mouth and in Hollywood? Yeah,
horrible.
Okay, that's what I got from that. So
there you go.
Craigslist. I was on Craigslist, okay? Like,
I was in the gig section.
Much safer.
So
yeah,
Christopher,
exactly.
Same question I guess I'm posing to you, Christopher. What kind of stuff were you doing before you got your part for Resident Evil 6?
Kind of the same thing, mostly acting stuff on camera, film and TV stuff. Lots of voiceover, but not a lot of video game and animation at that time. Smaller parts in video games, some Lego animation stuff, and then this came up. It was written on the wall of a bathroom stall that I answered.
I love their questions.
That's how Hollywood works, man. Yeah. No, but my agents got me in on it. I read on it. It was a secret project at the time. Didn't know what it was. You could kind of tell from the sides, like zombie stuff and character, character mashup names and whatnot. And just went in, did it. Callback was in kind of a mixture of a mocap audition / voiceover callback with the voice director Liam O'Brien.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it all happened, and ended up doing the face cap, acting, voice stuff.
Yeah, they scanned you all. Yeah.
It was about a year on the project for me.
That's crazy how long it takes. I think you don't realize.
Yeah.
Because you're getting called all the time, coming for this, coming for that, and you're busy working on it all year.
Yeah, honestly, like when I got booked for it, I'm like, okay, cool. So this will be like a few sessions during the month or something like that, and then the first couple sessions were just really preliminary stuff. There was like a pizza party that everybody got sat down by Liam to give us the whole lore for anybody that needed the details all filled in it. And I'm like, wow, this is a lot bigger than I was expecting. This feels like full pre-production on a feature film.
Right.
And sure enough, I mean, the production very similar.
Yep. Yeah, well, that's a big game. They put a lot of work into that. That's a big undertaking by the company because there was so much in that game. I think it was almost too much for some people because you had 3 main campaigns, you had an extra campaign, you had 2 characters in every campaign. All the action was fast paced. It was a lot to take in. But
Sure.
I mean, just your performances though are iconic. I mean, Piers obviously stole a lot of people's hearts. You know, being the new character that had his story arc finished in that game. But it was a great, you know, introduction to him. His whole time in the game running alongside Chris was awesome. And then Sara stepping into one of the series' most iconic characters and loved characters, Sherry, showing what she's become as an adult, had to be an awesome experience for you guys to take these characters and see how the fans received you.
Yeah. Yeah, it was crazy because, like, you know, Chris, I'm assuming the same for you, but when we were doing it was like we couldn't tell anybody. And I have a ton of friends who are gamers. Like my friend Meredith is like a big she was a big PlayStation host, and I couldn't even tell her, you know. And so there was like 2 years of my life that I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go do this thing that's a game for Capcom. That's like all I was allowed to say.
Zombies.
You know, and so when it was crazy because when it finally came out, I was like, oh yeah, we did that thing like a year ago for like many years. So it's wild because it took so long, but I mean, it was such a huge part of my life for so long because you had to infuse all this new stuff. And then Sherry obviously was already established. So there was we already had some information about kind of who she was. And then like Chris was saying, like, they took it very seriously. They were like, we want these characters to be the embedded characters that the franchise already knows. And then we also want to develop them further. And especially with Sherry, because she was now an adult, who was sort of figuring out how to still have that sort of kid-like quality, but also, you know, she's an adult who's been through a lot of shit.
Yeah.
You know?
As a kid, she's got her scars, she got her PTSD from it. But
a lot of PTSD.
Yeah.
I mean, I still say she handled the events of RE2 better than Ashley did for RE4.
The what, Tony?
No, I was just like, I think Sherry still handled the events of Resident Evil 2 better than Ashley did for Resident Evil 4. And and like Sherry was I think like 12, 13, or like 11 or 12, and
way younger. Yeah.
RE2, and RE4, like Ashley was like 21. She's like, I want to go home. And Sherry's just like, I'm brave. I'll handle this.
Yeah.
Especially like how they did it. Like I think you know, with Sarah's performance in RE6 was really good because when the remake of 2 came out, we saw like a different side of Sherry and how she was, and it really, I think, connects better with Resident Evil 2 remake and Resident Evil 6 for her character. Just because of like how the acting and like what you can do now in games compared to 1998.
Yeah, they gave her more of a fleshed out character in remake 2, where in the first one she was just the one you're supposed to escort, and you kind of develop an attachment to her through Claire. But in remake 2, you know, they gave her a character arc that she has to go through on her own. And like Tony's saying, it falls in line with Sarah's performance for RE6. Those two match up pretty well.
They were really specific. You know, our directors, they were both like, you know, we worked like, just to give, I don't know if people know this, but we had an entire week of just physical movements for the characters. So we had a whole day of just walking like a character, you know, where it was like, okay, and this is what they always said to me. They always said, Sherry, she's all business on top, she's party on the bottom. And I was like, so like a mullet kind of thing? Like, is she sort of like, is she like a mullet? But they were very specific. So they, you know, I was able to interject some of my own sort of take on things. But, you know, then they would be like, okay, yes, but she needs to be a little bit more serious. So like all the physicality was very specific because obviously in a game, you know, especially at the time that we did it, you didn't have as much facial movement. And so simple things like just how I breathed, how I walked, how I stood with a gun, the way I held a gun, the way she moved was so important, and was actually really cool to just spend an entire week just working on physical movements, just the physical movements of the character. And then living that for 2 years was really amazing too. Yeah.
Wow.
And Christopher, when you got the part, Piers was the brand new character to the series. What kind of notes did they give you, or what kind of room to play did you have with the character?
A lot, because it was original. So they very much wanted it to be personal, signature, fresh, right? Like Piers has kind of this fresh, new mission energy to the Chris Redfield storyline because of everything that happens in 5, and then this gap, and then where you're picking up Chris. Piers needed to be this like go get it injection of loyalty,
Yeah.
ambition, life into it. So I had free reign in terms of creating the character like that, and all of my back story research, or what I was given to really know, is all the Redfield stuff, just
Yeah.
right from the beginning, to know everything about, because their relationship, when you pick up Piers, their relationship already goes back, right?
Yeah.
Even though the audience is meeting Piers for the first time, Chris isn't.
Yeah.
And Piers isn't meeting Chris for the first time. And so the more I knew about Chris, what he's gone through shapes the relationship, or the knowledge that Piers would have of Chris, right? And how they have interacted with each other since day one, which would mold not only, you know, my character, but also our relationship,
Right.
and everything going forward. So that, yeah, that was a big focus.
Yeah, and it's really surprising to see just how much that character still matters to everyone. You know, Resident Evil has a thing about that, having side characters that only have one game and then they're gone, whether they die or they're just written off somewhere. And
die is a strong word.
That's true. Yeah, yeah.
You can come back as a mutant.
That's true.
You know?
Yeah. He was already halfway there.
I went out as a mutant.
That's true. That's true.
Well,
we
like
didn't actually see anything, so. But yeah, so it's interesting to see that the love for Piers is there, and I'm sure it would be amazing to have him back in the series in any way that could happen. Maybe flashbacks or something, or
that would be awesome.
You know, maybe he's part of Chris's team in RE8. Who knows?
Like Resident Evil lore is like no stranger to going back in time for a lot of things, and like there's the first Resident Evil manga that like came to America, like Chris and Piers are in it. Not as much, because it's more centered on like these original characters they created. Like there's an outbreak at some like private school of like the C virus beginnings and stuff like that, and Chris and Piers like show up, like Piers is like gunning it in like a giant Hummer and everything like that, because he's like the BSAA's best driver apparently. So it was really cool to see. Yeah, I was like, oh good, he's getting some love here and everything, you know. I mean, I would love to see him show up in like a Marvel versus Capcom game in the future, because we got
already.
Yeah, fun. Like a C virus.
Huge fighting game fan. I love fighting games.
That's
Wait, I have a question for Chris. Can I ask Chris a question?
Yeah.
Obviously, you did the voice stuff. So
no, why are
when
you
we were
talking to me?
when we were doing mocap, we shot it twice. We shot it both as mocap and as like a movie, right? Like that's how they structure it. So like we first shot a movie, then we shot mocap, which was really crazy. So what did you see when you were doing your voice stuff? Did they show you just our motion capture performance, or did they show you both in tandem? I'm just curious. They showed you everything. Okay.
Yeah, everything. And it also depended, because it was a year. So like, so at the beginning of my recording stuff, there was nothing, right? As in they were still working on, or well, actually what I would see is some of the, because if it's not clear for everybody what Sarah's talking about when she says shoot it like a movie, she literally means on video, as in it's shot on a regular camera. It's not previs, it's not CG, it's not rendering. We
were in full costumes. Like I had a wig, I had on a full costume. I mean, we're shooting they light it how they think they want it to be lit. I mean, they don't build out full sets, but they shoot the whole thing like as though you would have a movie, and then they edit it all.
Yeah, and it's really cool, like what she's talking about, like, because I didn't get to participate in any of it in terms of the filming of it, but I got to see a lot of it, and it's really creative. Like they would move things, like there's kind of guys, they're like stagehands. They're like moving things around, and it's very creative. It's kind of like those YouTube channel where he recreates trailers for like, they're called like 5-cent trailers or something. And he'll like crunch like aluminum foil to do like the Terminator 2 trailer, you know. It's kind of like that. They would come up with, like, I would watch these films and they come up with really, really creative things of creating the monsters or something happening to the character. But anyway, so there's the film stuff, and then slowly throughout the year the film stuff would be switched out with your performances in the motion capture.
Right.
Yeah, some actual renderings with sort of these like just kind of matte faces, because I'm doing the mocap for the face, or the mocap for the face isn't happened yet.
Right.
And so they'd be kind of like these very, you know, almost like mannequins, like very stiff mannequins, but the world was starting to get fleshed out. So I saw everything. I read to literally everything. Sometimes it was over the film stuff of I'm forgetting his name, Chris something.
It
was my
not
body.
Jason.
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah, we
just
saw it in the chat earlier, and I'm blanking out. The physical.
The body cap for Piers, yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
I saw him a bunch on the film, and then that would get switched out with some previs and then renderings and stuff like that throughout the year until kind of toward the end. It almost looked like completed, polished gameplay, you know.
Right.
So yeah, it was the gambit.
Yeah, I think they did.
Cool.
And Tony
Let's see
has
both,
seen these videos for RE5. The videos that Ruben has of him behind the scenes with Eva in costume. It's basically the same thing. It sounds like what you guys did for 6. They were in full costume, acting out the scenes and recording them like that, and then went back and put the mocap and put the characters to bodies to it and everything. So it's really interesting they were doing it like that for a while.
They're so well done. They could actually release that stuff. I would totally watch it because it's
funny
because it's well acted.
It's
everybody's truly acting it out. It's shot extremely well with angles and light and lighting and kind of this minimalistic black box theater feel with props and stuff. They're really cool. Oh yeah, it's stuff that people don't get to see, but they're so fun.
Right.
And what was it? I just remembered. It just came in your head. It's our good buddy Kevin Dorman, who was Piers's
Kevin Dorman. Thank you.
Kevin.
Kevin did the motion capture, and then the face model, which I'm losing his name.
It was Adam.
Adam did the face model.
Adam Crossman.
Yeah, Adam Crossman. And what's interesting about Kevin Dorman is he also has played Chris. So
yeah.
He was in Umbrella Chronicles and Vendetta.
And Vendetta.
He was the voice.
Which, he talked about how Chris was one of his childhood heroes, kind of like Nick Apostolides loved, Resident Evil 2. And it's just cool to see them come into this world where they get to portray those characters. So, good for them. So
it's an honor, I think, in some ways, too.
Yeah.
I mean, like, for me, when I figured out who it was, I was like, oh, wow, like, this is a character that people have lived with for a long time, that, people play every day. So for me, I was like, wow, this is a huge honor to do this. And then to do it for so long, too, was really amazing. And then the movies that he's talking about were just so, we shot the whole thing as a movie, but I think, I don't remember how many hours of story there is, but there's three stories with 2 people, 2 side ones. So all of that, and then all of the interactive stuff, like, if we had any scenes with other people. So there was all of that. So I want to say it was something insane, like 4 to 6 hours. So really they're shooting like what would be a trilogy's worth of movies.
Right.
Then we would go back, and everybody's stuff, like he said, was super fun. It was really amazing. Then they would play it back for us and be like, we really liked this, but now we need to change the words to this. So then we would do mocap. We would finalize everything. I wish they would release the movies. That would be cool.
Yeah, it would be.
Like,
I haven't thought about them until you mentioned it, and I'm thinking
really put it the best. It's like a black box. It's like watching black box theater that's well shot.
Right.
Because it's like really creative, like oh, here's a tinfoil monster, or like this wall moves. Like they would have people like on rolling walls, to get
right, pulling them out and stuff. Yeah. It's cool stuff. I didn't think about it until you mentioned it. I'm going through, I read a lot of that stuff, and it was really cool.
Speaking about Sherry and your impression of her, did you do any kind of research when you got the part as what her character had been, or maybe go back and play Resident Evil 2 and see what her little story was in that?
Yeah, well, because I didn't know until I got to like set, and they were like, hey, by the way, this is who you are. I was then like, oh, now I can finally go do research. And we had time, in between each, in between shooting the movie stuff, they were like, here's time. And then guess what I found, you guys? This is really cool. I found our Bible, our book.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Cool. That has all the characters.
That's
I was
awesome.
like,
Oh,
right?
cool.
With Ada and stuff. And so the very first day they gave me this, and they said, we don't have her rendering yet because we're still working on your face from before.
Yeah.
But then I was able to kind of go and do research, and they already had some established stuff. I mean, they already knew what the storyline was going to be for RE6. So then I went back and I read, everything I could find on the internet, any folklore I could find. And it was interesting. I was like, wow, she and I have like a lot of similar personalities. We have the same blood type. Mm-hmm. So that's a thing.
That is a thing, right?
That's a thing.
That's
I think we were close to the same age at the time. I shouldn't say that when we shot. But I did appreciate there were a lot of the things that they sort of were like, this is really important. Like she's really cute, but she's also all business. And so there's like a juxtaposition to who she is, being both very serious, but also like being very youthful. And I was like, I can relate to that. I can relate to that a lot.
She's not all business. She's party on the bottom.
Yeah.
That's right.
Party on
the
the
bullets
bottom.
of the character.
Yeah. Have you guys seen any questions from the chat? Am I missing any?
I've been looking for some. Question for Sara. What was it like acting with Troy Baker from Miguel?
Oh, it's great. You know, it's so funny because I'm not somebody who like knows. I'm terrible. Like I don't watch movies or TV or anything. But like when I met Troy and then I was like, oh, you have done like a ton of stuff. So he was great because he also was like, hey, I've done this before. And so he had a lot of experience that he was able to bring to the table that was really helpful for me to see sort of happen. And then obviously like Sherry and Jake have this like weird love-hate relationship. You know what I mean? It's like they're always crushing on each other, but they're not. It's never gonna happen, but like maybe it will, but maybe it won't. So it was fun to sort of like develop that with him.
The locker room scene.
Yeah.
Say again.
The locker room scene.
Yeah, the locker room scene.
Oh yeah.
Outfit. Oh my god, that outfit. They gave me, by the way, just for the record, they gave me bigger boobs in the game than I actually have in real life. So I just want to say,
you heard it here.
Thank you, Capcom, for believing in me to be a larger cup.
Was it? Yeah, actually, I don't know how well it's gonna show on here, but for Chris, a friend of mine, she lives out in England, and she did a Pierce cosplay, and it was like the mutated form. Let's see if we can get it on here.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
that's cool.
Wow.
Yeah, she and her partner made that like entire like mutated arm and everything. Like they were in a show because her partner did Chris, like RE6 Chris.
Okay, yes.
I wish there was like a better quality and everything.
Who's the person?
Their name is a Peanut Mochi. Oh, just lost it.
Oh.
Yeah, I'll send you like the full things like after the and everything like that.
Yeah.
I can send you that stuff. But like
That's
they were like super like stoked to do it, like because like she loved Pierce, like because like she kind of started Resident Evil at 4. That was like her first introduction, and then when she got to 6, like she just loved everything about Pierce, and like she just went full force on that outfit to make it like the best she could.
Oh, super cool.
Interesting.
And what's her name? What's her name?
Her name's she keeps changing it. Like, I don't know if she wants me to tell it online, but like I said, I'll share it to you later.
Okay.
Gotcha. Because I think I recognize her. So if she wants the name out, but I think I recognize her from her feed. So thank you. Of
course.
This is a question. They asked Chris. This is Saray Wonderstar. They directed it towards Chris, but I'm gonna ask it to both of you. Which character, like if you have to return to the series and you're not playing the character you've already played, is there another character you'd like to maybe step into the role of from the series, or just if your character were to come back, what would your thoughts be on that?
Well, let's see. Right? What would I say? So I think they're two different. I would take them as two different questions. Or question. I for the first one, if it's not my character, it's hard not to say Wesker.
Yeah.
Good one.
Like Albert Wesker is just like the ultimate, Armani bad guy.
Yeah, Armani bad guy.
Like I love him. And I also love everybody that's ever played him too. I know them personally. That voiced them, Peter Jessup and TC Douglas.
Yeah,
amazing people. But I would say Albert Wesker. And then when Piers returns.
When it's not a question.
Yeah, we're gonna say when.
When
Capcom.
You heard it here first. Confirmed. Piers is coming back.
Not confirmed. Not confirmed.
Not confirmed.
I'm gonna get in trouble. Not confirmed.
Not confirmed.
Go JJ.
But what was the question? If I could, or do I want him to? Do I want him to?
Yeah, I mean, your thoughts if he were to make a reappearance in the series somehow.
Oh, my thoughts would be amazing because I mean, like if Piers did return, it would be a hell of a reveal, right?
Yeah, I think that would definitely drop a lot of jaws.
Yeah, and I would imagine the storyline to bring him back for would be equally incredible to bring him back for. So yeah, that would be. I would love to play that story.
Yeah, definitely. And Sherry being one of the foundation characters of the series, she could potentially come back. Her story left her in a position where she's got possibilities to come back in a later game. Maybe she might get her own game, like another Revelations game that just focuses on Sherry. Maybe bring Claire back in the mix, put them together. That would be cool. So, Sarah, if you had another character you could play, who do you think you would like to play?
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. It's always a dream for me to play like badasses because like I'm a little pint size, right? You guys all you've seen what my body looks like on the game. So like part of me wants to come back and just be like a total like bit of a badass. Like I might come back as Jake. I mean, no one's ever gonna let me do that. But I mean, I want to be I want to be the gun-toting hero who says all the snarky lines. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I want to come in with 2 guns and I want to say a bunch of shit that makes people laugh or beat them. So if I could come back as maybe it would be Jake. Or like, I think Ada is interesting because, she's like, I like the idea of being a bad guy. Like, I don't usually get cast as like the bad guy or bad gal.
Yeah.
So there's something really fun about playing a character that has that kind of like swagger and power. And Sherry, I would not consider her a swagger character as much as she has her own swag. But I would also love to come back and do Sherry again would be super fun, obviously, especially because she's going to be further along in her story. And I think that 6 was like a coming of age for her because she sort of had been, I think with the remake of 2, especially, she sort of was, she was just this kid that was kind of tossed around and stuff. And then, she was sort of forced into her position to work for the government. And then it's like all of 6, she was struggling with taking care of this, wild man. And then realizing all these people had lied to her. And I think that really changes somebody. And I think by the end of 6, you see how she's gone through this massive transformation. But I think it would be fun to see how that affects her later and what decisions she makes. And I think she's somebody who is like, I'm going to do right by everybody all the time. But I think if you kind of keep getting jabbed, eventually you have to do something right, even if it's wrong, if that makes sense.
Right.
So, I'd love to see what happens with her in another series. Capcom.
She really has become kind of a gun-toting badass, by the end of 6. And then what you're explaining here, or what you're describing, is like Leon from Resident Evil 2 to, Resident Evil 4. And I could 100% see that becoming of the Sherry character if they would just continue her and Jake's storyline, which I personally would have really liked. I think that's left open. I think there's a lot more room for those characters in the future series. And Chris, Piers was one of my favorite new original characters. It's unfortunate that his story sort of maybe wrapped up in 6, but I think definitely what you brought to that character was fantastic. And I would definitely like to see you return as well as a new character or in flashbacks. They're going through and they're doing the Resident Evil CG show right now on Netflix, and where they did say that they're going to be taking a trip back through the history of the Resident Evil series. So to see both of your characters brought back in CG would be fantastic. And if not for season 1, if the show is successful and continues on, I would love to see more from Piers, and I would love to see Sherry's story progress. I think that a lot of fans would.
The writing campaign starts now.
We get Sherry's blood. We get Jake's blood. We mix them together. We give it to Piers. He's no longer a mutant. Done.
There you go. Yeah.
It's fixed.
Got the antibodies right there.
Did it.
We beat Resident Evil. In general, give that blood everywhere. That's a vaccine.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you have any?
That now? Can we get some Sherry and Jake blood now?
Try. I don't know if I recommend it.
Do you have any?
Is it Netflix? Is it
Netflix? Yeah.
Netflix.
Netflix. Yeah.
It's Resident Evil Infinite Darkness is what it's called, and they did say that they're going to be taking a trip back through Resident Evil history. So there's so much room for possibilities there. There really is.
Oh yeah.
You hear that, guys? So write your letters to Netflix right
now in Capcom.
Sherry Burke and Piers Nivens.
Go to their headquarters and demand it very nicely. Make sure you're wearing your mask and stay 6 feet apart from each other. And just
of course,
and hold up the signs. For it. We want them.
The C virus.
But that's the thing about that's the thing about being very vocal with this stuff, because Hollywood doesn't always, or like TV, like they don't always understand games. We're still not at that point with a lot of things. But with how the Castlevania anime was done, they obviously are following more Castlevania 3, but they're pulling in lore and other things from all the games from all out, like throughout like the 30 years of Castlevania. So if they kind of look at how that was done, and it's like, yeah, Resident Evil's got like, you know, almost 30 years of content. Like there's things to love, you know. That's just that it's a kind of a no-brainer. You know, because like they did the Dragon's Dogma anime, I guess that was all right, pretty much, and stuff. And there's rumors of a Devil May Cry anime actually happening too. So with Resident Evil, it's like you've got it right there. And with all the people out there saying the same thing of what they want, it's just like, hey, light bulb, that might be what they want.
Yeah,
it is funny how like
source material.
Yeah.
It is funny though how quote unquote Hollywood doesn't really listen to the fans, and I'm like, just give the people what they want. I'm like,
you know what I mean?
I feel like there's so much stuff out there. Yeah, especially with the game and stuff, you know, it's like, why would you just use what the fans want to, like, you know, give the fans what they want. They'll be stoked about it, you know?
I have a way of...
We'll make money doing it, right? So it's a win-win for everybody.
I have an explanation for that. It's Paul W.S. Anderson is making fan fictions about his wife. That's it.
Oh, jeez.
That's all it is.
Well, there goes our shot of ever getting Paul W.S. Anderson on a panel.
Here's a good question from Smith's Fan 425 for both of you. Wants to know if you played any of the new games like 7, Remake 2, Remake 3. First of all, that's the first question. And then looking at your characters, how do you think they would react in these more grounded, realistic, gritty games? Not the action-packed 6, but like the really scary 7, you know, those dark ones. So, which one? You want to go first?
Sarah?
I have not. We just got a PS4 like a month ago.
Oh, okay.
Which is very exciting.
But the toddler, otherwise known as the toddler rehabilitation machine. We discovered this.
So I haven't played them, but I do know. I mean, I do try to keep up with like all of the lore and stuff around Resident Evil. I mean, I think Sherry. You know how they're like in comedy, you always need like the funny character and like your straight man and your funny man. I think Sherry has always been the straight man in the situations. She's always the person being like, this is the crazy idea. We shouldn't do this. So I actually think she would probably fit in really well to some of the more grounded, really heavy content, you know, with some of the newer stuff. Just because I think she was always sort of like the voice of reason. And I think too, with the new technology that's out there, there's more room for acting subtleties, right? You know, whereas when we were shooting, I mean, God, we shot, what was this, back in like 2010, I think is when I started.
Yeah, sounds right.
Or 2009 or 10 when I started. So, you know, even just then, you know, just that mocap can pick up on much smaller, more minute details and stuff. I think that in itself lends it to just being a much more grounded performance.
Right. Yeah, we look at that with the RE engine that they use now on the most recent games, and like you're saying about like the small details, the facial tics, the wincing, just the little tiny details that give so much life to the character, and it's so realistic feeling as it is now. Like, yeah, it's a game. There's that disconnection because it is a video game, but it looks phenomenal, and the performances that come through that technology from the actors are top tier. Really, just top tier.
Yeah.
So
every year, I mean, I remember thinking that even back on this game, right? You think that in the moment, right?
Yeah.
Because the latest technology, you go like Avatar comes
out.
Yeah,
that was like the big thing.
This game, or when LA Noire came out.
Yeah.
Or, you know, like pushing the new envelope, you go, wow, how can it go beyond this? And it does. And then you have Cyberpunk 2077, and you got and the RE engine you're talking about, and just the way it looks and feels, and it's so.
I really like the RE engine a lot. I think it adds to the gameplay, not only because of how graphically it looks nice, but like the mechanics that it introduces for the controls feel good. Like, it feels like a nice game to play. I really enjoyed even the VR version, and then playing that 7 with the controller, or in VR 2, 3, they've all felt really, really good. It's just a nice feeling system that they made. How do you think
remake?
Go
ahead.
How do you think Piers would react in this whole situation if he were in 7 or 2 or 3 remake?
Yeah, so to start off, I have not played any of the newer titles at all. I have seen, but I have seen where it's gone, right? And like and the grittiness you're talking about, and kind of what they did with it. And all I could think, because I can't directly speak to it because I haven't played it, but just during this conversation when Sara was talking there, I was thinking how I've never thought about Piers Nivens outside of the context of being a soldier.
Yeah.
Right. And so just right now I was thinking that would be kind of cool. As in like, what is Piers Nivens in Resident Evil universe off hours? You know, like what, and
do you have any hobbies as Piers? Does Piers have hobbies?
Yeah, what's Piers doing his off time?
Stamp collecting.
He cleans his guns.
And ends up in a golf video game or something. It has nothing to do with it.
Right. Like Wii Sports.
But it'd be kind of cool. Like, you fall down the rabbit hole of a Resident Evil adventure in that world of, that it's still that world, but not maybe from a soldier context, but just as falling down the rabbit hole as almost a civilian or something like that, like where it's the soldier skills. I kind of like a Die Hard scenario, I guess, right? Like as in
got Tony's attention.
What about like Piers Nivens and a kind of Die Hard thing?
CIA.
That'd be awesome.
But I am Die Hard's my favorite movie of all time. It's the first movie I ever remember seeing. I was 3 years old, and my father, he put me on his lap and he goes, "You got to watch this. This is gonna be a classic." And at that point, the movie had already been out for about a year a couple of years at that point. And I fell in love with it. I will find any way to throw Die Hard into anything in real life. And then when Brooklyn Nine-Nine came out, everyone's like, "Oh, you got to watch it. This guy's just like you. He loves Die Hard." I'm like, "Oh my God, it is me. Holy crap."
But you were how old? You were how old when you sat you down?
I was 3 years old. So most kids remember Disney movies. I remember Die Hard. I remember friggin' Hans Gruber falling out of a window and everything. And
explains a lot.
It is a Christmas movie.
It is a Christmas movie.
Explains a lot.
It's the ultimate Christmas movie.
Damn right. The first movie I remember seeing was Predator. So.
Oh hell yeah!
Yeah, I was probably about 4 or 5. I remember it because I got in trouble for saying some bad words.
The Patch Vest with the $5 super chat. Thank you so much, the Patch Vest. He asked, gotta ask if Chris is familiar with the awful early localization of Piers Nivens as Beards Nivens. Have you ever heard of that before? Beards Nivens.
Beards Nivens? Was he a pirate?
Beards Nivens of the Seven Seas.
Captain, I am the captain.
They should have kept it.
Yeah, that would have been great. Was that the question? Was there any more to that question, JJ, or no?
Nope, that was it. Just if you knew about Beards Nivens.
I want to see the cosplay version of that. I want to see what is that cosplay version.
Yeah, definitely.
Make sure you
add us on Twitter at Roe Network if you're cosplaying, and if you do a Beards Nivens, add us.
He only advertises like shaving cream products.
That's his thing. What is it?
While riding a horse, like the Old Spice guy.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yes. And then your head morphs into 2 heads, and then it makes sense. You're a mutant, so like.
That's perfect.
This goes full Terry Crews.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Here's a question from Phantom Res RE3. I think it's supposed to be Rees. Nope, sorry, that's the wrong one. The chat's going kind of fast. I missed it. Never mind. Oh, here it is. Sorry, it's from My Chemical Ether. So, want to know, Chris, did you expect Piers to become such a fan favorite character, or no?
No, I did not, and I'm blown away by it every day. I mean, the fact that I'm sitting here, what are we, like 9, 10 years later?
8 years actually.
8,
a couple of weeks ago. It was the 8-year anniversary.
10 from probably making it. Yeah,
true.
8 years from the. No way. And so just humbled, grateful, so appreciative. The storyline and the character were embraced the way they were, and the way the ending landed. Because you don't know.
Yeah, it's less than a year.
Yeah, you don't know these things when you got the dots all over your face.
Yeah.
And and you're like in these weird things, and the mic, and you're just kind of it's so far removed from the story that gets experienced, your experience of it as an actor, right? And you're going like, go, you're having all these moments, and you're doing them by yourself. It's completely, it's not like, it's not like Roger Craig Smith is right there next to me, and we're like having a scene together like actors do. I'm totally doing this by myself in a booth, and you hope. You throw it out there, and you give it your best, and you hope, and then when it's paid off with the kind of reaction that It's God, and it's amazing. It's amazing. Who's in the background?
Yeah, that's why I put back
I
there.
couldn't.
He's dancing.
Fortnite stuff. There you go.
He's having fun. It's ROCon day.
I know. He was all excited about this convention too.
Because I mean, yeah, because he was there at.
What's up, little man? How are you?
You want to say hi? Hello.
Dude, he's getting big.
What's his favorite character?
What's up,
Yeah.
big man?
Favorite character from Resident Evil?
Better
hasn't
watch
played him
what you
yet.
say.
He hasn't played him yet. He will play eventually.
What's your
but not
favorite
yet.
character? You have two choices. You have two chances.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Which
Exactly.
enemy are you making
Yeah.
today?
Yeah.
Go, bud. Thank
We
you.
have a question from Saray Wonderstar.
Mhm.
Chris, what was your favorite line to do in RE6, or what line took the most re-records?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Took the most re-records. I mean, the most memorable and legendary is, of course, Captain. So
You just made a lot of
There's
people
that.
happy.
there's
Yeah,
that.
people were
I
asking for
think-
that.
I think I've had perpetual voice rasp since the recording of. I think my voice actually
You
lowered
wrecked your voice.
Wow.
forever, permanently from screaming Captain so much.
Yeah.
The most re-records. I don't know. Oh, you know what? Something comes to mind. So Liam O'Brien, awesome, epic voiceover artist himself,
Oh, yeah.
director, and
Mhm.
and of course has help me out, the podcast Critical.
Critical Role?
Hit? Critical Role. Thank you. I
Yeah.
thought it was a Critical Hit. Didn't feel
Yeah,
right.
they're
Um,
D&D group that they have with Matt Mercer and all them. Or Mercer.
Yeah.
Mercer, yeah.
He just has an encyclopedic knowledge. He had it then, and he's superhuman now, I'm sure. Of
Yeah.
just tips and tricks to tweak things and give things just the right spin. Like it could be just like a little exhale effort thing, and he'd know how to just kind of tweak it just right.
Mhm.
And so there wasn't a lot of like getting stuck with Liam. He could just dial it in, he'd just be like, do this, and go boom like that, and in real time in the headphones,
Yeah.
going like, go up, go down, spin it like this,
Wow.
go up like that. Okay, now fart. And literally, he would do that a lot. That was a joke. And sometimes you try. But, okay, hopefully.
I have a question for you.
But,
Kristen. I have a question for you. So we always joked about what the word was that we said the most in the game.
Mm.
Okay. What word did you say the most? I said Jake. I think we counted, and I think it was like 60 times. It was like, I think I yelled
She
Jake's
shot her
name.
Yeah.
She says Jake.
Jake. Like a different million iterations of his name. What word was the word that you yelled the most?
Probably Captain.
probably Chris.
Or
Probably
Chris,
Chris.
yeah.
Yeah, probably Chris and
Yeah.
Captain. Yeah, because it's kind of the format, right? It's the format of like the death and the dying. Like
Yeah.
if he dies, you yell Chris. If
Right.
you're dying, you yell Chris.
Yeah.
But like in a as a last word, Captain.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah,
If you need
Captain,
help,
Captain,
you yell
and Chris.
Mhm.
Yep, you need help. You need an egg.
Yeah.
Right.
Um,
You're going to the bathroom, like
yeah,
whatever.
the bathroom,
Yeah.
whatever's needed.
We had a question from Mr. Nice Chai. Oh, are you,
Yeah, he's good going.
can we move to this one, or you want to get more on that one?
Oh, are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Oh, no, Mr. Nice Guy. I just
Okay,
got
yeah.
a few, we're getting some good questions here.
Yeah, this is a good one from Mr. Nice Chai. It says, hey, I'm a little late. Apologize if this was already answered. But what was the
We've
favorite...
been waiting for you. Now we're gonna have to
Yeah.
recap the whole
Right.
Zoom, man.
Good one, Mr. Nice Chai.
Jeez. All right, everybody back to one.
They want to know, for both of your characters, what was it, your favorite aspect of your characters? Are there any traits that you can relate to? Like something you had in common? I know you talked about bringing a little piece of yourself into those characters, but what's something that was already there that you really connected with?
Piers Niven's breast size.
His manly
Big breast
pecs.
I think we all connected to that, really. Oh God. I mean, for me, I think Sherry, she sort of she's bridging that gap between being youthful and also being an adult. And I'm only like 5'1.5". So I was, I'm not as tall as Sherry, though I hope to be one day. So for me, like people have always thought I was like a kid. I don't know, probably because my voice is a little higher. I don't know. So I always sort of struggled with this idea that like I'm sitting at the adult table, but people think that I'm younger than I am, which I'm very grateful for in a lot of ways. But when I was younger, that was a constant struggle. I always felt like I got to prove myself here. Like I got to come and prove myself. And I think being a female too, there's a certain amount of that, where you're like, if you're a strong spicy female like I am, like I'm like, yeah, I can sit at the boys' table, like I can handle myself. And I think Sherry for me was very much about that. You know, she was constantly trying to prove herself, not just for her, but you know, to Simmons, to her dead parents, to you know, to Jake, because you know Jake's this like baller character that doesn't give a fuck about anything. Excuse my French. You know, and I think in some ways she like hated him and admired him at the same time. So for me, like when I was reading about Sherry, I was like, oh, there's a lot here that I can relate to. I mean, obviously in my personal life, I'm not running around with guns fighting monsters. I mean, I am, and obviously there's the virus happening right now, so maybe it's a little bit personal. But you know, I think that there's just on her, just who she is as a person. I think there was a lot for me to kind of go, oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, it's like that's I can connect with that character. What about Pierce? Was there something particular about Pierce that you really related to?
His driving skills.
Best driver in the
Definitely
BSAA.
better than Leon.
That's right.
That's true. Leon wrecks almost everything he's in.
Yeah.
Like the Tom Hanks of traveling.
There's a really good question here.
Trying to see if I get that reference. But no, I would say his ambition. Like I really liked playing how just on it he was, you know, just like no matter what happens, like kind of unflappable. It's like no matter what, we're doing this.
Always
optimistic.
optimistic.
We're doing this because we're doing this because we have to do this, and we're gonna win because we have to. You know, like it's just kind of this, you know,
the focus, that mission oriented, loyalty to the team, loyalty to Chris, you know, and like you said, I think the optimism that he brings to that there is no fail, you know.
Right. Yeah. It's I was just going to repeat you, but all those words, all those
all those things. Well, Becky, you had a question?
Yeah, I was about to say, Michael DeMario has a really good question for both of you. What was your first impression of Chris's actor, Roger Craig Smith?
First impression of Roger?
Yes.
As a person?
As a person.
Where do we start?
Not as a character. So I know Roger very little actually, which is kind of funny. I mean, we know of each other. We met at I think it was the first. No, we met in passing during recording sessions because our stuff would tend to be scheduled back to back. Right. So I would either run into Matthew Mercer or Roger Craig Smith most of the time, depending on like who was before or after each storyline. And then, so we just like a couple times, really, you know, nice, cordial, chill, like very grounded, just very grounded, no bullshit. I think is the best way to describe Roger. He's just super no bullshit. Yeah. And then the first time I really got to like kind of hang out with everybody and be a bit more social, not in like work passing, was at the launch. There was a huge Hollywood launch party.
It was crazy.
It was crazy. It was amazing.
Crazy. I was like, oh my God, these hors d'oeuvres.
Perfect.
I like how she thinks.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm like, free hors d'oeuvres? Count me in.
Come for the game, stay for the hors d'oeuvres.
That's right.
But yeah, that was huge. That was awesome. That kind of goes back to a previous question about like not really knowing what you're getting into. I never expected I'd be at like some gigantic, huge launch party, screens everywhere. People are playing like early versions of the games.
There was like a line out the door outside.
Oh, that's awesome.
Like, I remember walking with my husband being like, what? Oh, okay, this is a thing that's happening.
And this is
and shit. Oh my God.
And this is so Hollywood. This was so Hollywood. So there's a red carpet, right? And so as the Resident Evil people, relevant, we show up, we're doing our thing. Courtney Taylor and I were doing some red carpet stuff together and doing interviews, and she was super fun and all that. And then we kind of start to fade back, like the cast and the thing. And I realized the red carpet was still going. And it was, I can't remember his name right now, but he was like an actor on Melrose Place. And like these random celebrities are doing red carpet stuff in order to just kind of get in front of a camera because it was an event that was going on.
Right.
These people have no idea where they are. They have no idea. They're not gamers. They don't know what Resident Evil is. But like the most random kind of B-list celebrity, you know, C-list, D-listers kind of just showing up at random. I'd see them on and not even come into the event, but just to kind of get in front of a camera and go, oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, that's good. That's really good.
Yeah, it's like Dancing with the Stars, type of. It was hilarious, but I was like, yeah, what world is this?
That's funny.
It was really wild.
Party crashers.
I just remember there being like, do you remember like inside they had all these like huge like ammo boxes? They were like boxes, or like they would have like the big BSSA like imprints on them, or the Umbrella Academy stuff. I just remember being like, somebody decked the entire interior to look like the game.
That's cool.
And we were working with cardboard boxes. Like,
what the hell?
Yeah, like what was this? We were filming.
I got one more question here from Nostalgic No Scope. This one's for Sherry. For you, Sara. Sherry's career path is on an upward trajectory. Where do you think she would be if she would appear in the series again?
Oh man, I don't know. I mean, I think it's hard because I think that there's this part of her that is like, I got to do right. I'm an agent. You know what I mean? But I think after her experience in RE6, there's this part of me that thinks she might continue on that. But then the storyline would be like, maybe she would go rogue or just, I think the point is that Sherry is going to do what's right by the people. So like, the point is like, her parents were these researchers who wanted to find, well, her parents were her parents, but that's a whole other story. Anyway, I was like, never regret for all that great. But I think that like she really wants to truly find the cure for stuff. I think that's actually really important to her. So I think that even if it, for her, as far as like a career path, I think she might still buy into being an agent for the government, but that maybe on the backside of it, she would really be trying to do right, and and maybe not. Maybe like having to be conniving at times to kind of like help people out.
Well, she's kind of following Leon's path that he took, becoming an agent. But Leon went to the darker side. He had a lot more going on, I guess. He went to the bottle and all that, just like Chris did. But I feel like Sherry holds a lot of Claire's traits as well, which keeps her still that upbeat, personality, even in the darkest times. But she's still like it's interesting how she took two pieces from both of them and put them together to form her career and who she's become, which is pretty cool. Yeah. And I like the way she was written in 6.
I want to take the same
Sara,
question, and I want to
Sara,
throw.
You really want to play bad guys. I like you to take your character, and you're like, you know what? I think she gets gritty. I think she gets gritty and mean and conniving. That's totally an actor thing. Going like, I really want to play.
I just want to be a bad guy. If somebody have a project where I can ride a horse and shoot guns and be the bad guy, I am fucking in. Okay, I want to shoot 2 guns
Red
at the
Dead 3.
same time.
Yep. Perfect.
I want to have a bunch of
That's what the actor wants to do.
Yeah.
That's what the actor wants to do, and the writer and Capcom are looking at you going, no.
No, they're like, no, too kawaii. No, you can't do that.
Yeah.
I want to throw that same question over to Chris. Let's just say Piers didn't die, and now he's half mutant. What is his career path? What's he doing?
Career path.
Hand model.
Hand
Perfect.
model.
It's for Piers Wynn. He's a hand model.
He's a hand model now.
He's a hand model. Love it.
You got the one good hand.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it's been so long to imagine like what the storylines could possibly be. I mean, his options might be kind of limited.
Yeah.
Due to physicality.
Maybe they
But,
opened up.
Do you think he's working at like Sephora? Do you think he's working at Sephora? He's like, you two can cover it up. It's okay.
Look,
Let me
it's
just
giant
Cream on it.
nude colored arm just hanging there because he painted the whole thing.
Blaster arm accidentally goes off.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe it could be some sort of like King Kong relationship or something like that. Like he's mostly animal.
Yeah.
But a sentient animal, right? Like he's there's hints of Piers still in there, but maybe somehow he.
Yeah. He's the Smeagol.
Does he live in a cave? Does he live in a car? What does he live in?
He lives in like a penthouse. I mean,
he still drives. Yeah,
he still drives.
On hand, but
with the top down. With the top down, not because he wants to, because he has to.
Yeah, he just can't fit. So
yeah, just
my strong.
But
hand.
all right, I think we'll start finding a stopping point here. We got another panel coming up in about 30 minutes. But you guys want to give some thanks to the fans or plug your social media so they can follow you and keep up with what you're doing? Either one.
Yes. I like that. Yes. Hey, thank you everybody for coming and saying hello. I think Chris touched on this earlier, but like it's an honor to be here, especially 10 years after the fact, just to still be part of such an amazing community. If you want to find me, I'm on Instagram at Sara, no H, ER as an emergency room. It's appropriate for Sherry. I don't know. Fletcher, Sara ER Fletcher. You can find me there, and I will be live streaming today on Instagram at 11 a.m. Pacific time.
Right.
Or you can, that's probably where I'm most active. So if you want to come say hello, I will be there. And thank you guys. Yeah. Thank you guys for having me.
You have that link for Streamly? We can post it in the chat real quick.
Yeah, let me grab it. It's in the description.
What Sarah's talking about is she's doing a live signing, right? In an hour or so on Instagram. Yeah. So if you want to go and purchase a print off of the Streamly website for her, then you can join her when she does her live signing. So that's a good way to kind of help out and get something special. And Chris,
you guys can just come say hi and ask questions. I'm happy to answer any question. Happy to answer most questions, maybe.
And Chris, did you have a way?
Once burned, twice shy.
Yeah. When we talked, you said you would want to do some autographs and stuff too, but you were kind of doing it on your own. Did you have a way that you were planning on doing that? Like, did you want them to get in contact, like through social media or?
Yeah, for my stuff. So to start off, super thanks. Super thanks to you guys putting this together. This is awesome and super fun. So cheers all around for this, and yeah, to everybody that is on here or has ever reached out and is just a fan of the RE universe and peers. Thank you. So cool. Like Sara said, 8 to 10 years after the fact, and it still feels as fresh. Yeah. And loved as ever on both sides. It's not it's on this side too, and yeah, so just thank you. And as far as staying in touch, I won't be doing the Streamly stuff, but just come check out social media stuff. All my stuff is kind of a bit more casual now than kind of the push actor days, because I have a little one. My life has turned much more into a parent focus.
Right.
It's my 19th month old, and so yeah, just come say hi on social media. So it's Planet Emerson on like everything. Yeah. On Instagram, Twitter. Come say hey, questions, and yeah, I'll see. I don't have anything scheduled for a live stream yet, but come follow and I'll hook something up
in the future. Yeah.
Chris, you can come join me. I don't know what I'm doing. I've never done a live stream like that before. So if you want to come join, we can just talk about toddler stuff.
Awesome. Resident parenting will be commencing, and it's 11 o'clock Pacific time. If you have.
Well, that's going to wrap it up for this panel. Thank you so much for joining us. It was a pleasure having both of you on here on the road for the first time. I would like to have another one-on-one interview at a later date, so we'll set those up. So you get full hour to yourself. We can really dive into who you are and your character and all that. And I hope everybody had a good time. If you're enjoying this, remember, stick around. We've got the Resident Evil 3 remake panel is coming up. We're going to go on a short break to set up for that and give us a chance to go to the bathroom, do all that, grab our drinks, and we'll be back on. And then we will see you guys in a little while.
I gotta make a G Fuel. Bye.
Yep.